Morning, folks. My name is Hitzemann, County Court Judge here in Hernando County. You folks are here for your first appearance. The purpose of the first appearance is so that you may be informed of the charges against you. I'll determine if there's probable cause for those charges. Probable cause simply means it's more likely than not that a crime has occurred, and more likely than not that you're the person that committed that crime. Of course, as you stand before me this morning, I presume that you're innocent to these allegations. That presumption of innocence will stay with you through every stage of the proceedings, unless and until the State Attorney's Office is able to prove the allegations against you beyond and to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt. We'll set your conditions of pretrial release today, that is your bail or your bond. In most cases, you've had a bond set already pursuant to the bond schedule here in the 5th Judicial Circuit, or the warrant which led to your arrest. I'll determine if those bonds will be raised or lowered or left the same, or if there'll be additional conditions of pretrial release placed upon you. We'll let you know when your next court date will be, and if you'd like to have the services of the public defender, I'll gladly appoint the PD to represent you this morning. You do have a right to have contact with folks on the outside, family, friends, counsel. If you haven't had a chance to make that call, please let me know. We'll make sure that that happens. Finally, and most importantly, you're advised that you do have an absolute right to remain silent with regard to the facts which surround your arrest. I encourage you to do that. These proceedings are recorded. In addition, there is an assistant state attorney in the courtroom with me. If you say something that tends to incriminate you, they will use it against you in the prosecution down the road. And I need each and every one of you there at the jail to please raise your right hands and be sworn. You all solemnly swear, affirm, tell truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? Outstanding. When I call your name, please step forward to the podium. Barbara Blevin. Want to miss what's your date of birth?
8/20/64.
Barbara, the charge this morning is retail theft. There's probable cause for the charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
I would like a public defender. I would ask if I could be ROR so I could continue with my counseling on the outside.
All right, well, hang on a second. I'll appoint the PD. State, what can you tell me?
Judge, she has a history of theft. She's got a petty theft from March of 2018.
Excuse me?
Another petty theft from May 2018. Resist without violence from May of 2018. Petty theft, another one from May of 2018.
Okay. Barbara, are you on probation right now?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you do jail time for those thefts earlier this year?
Yes, sir. I'm currently enrolled in daycare. I'm doing therapy, and I would like to not miss my therapy. I wonder if you would give me leniency and ROR me so I can continue with my therapy.
Oh, I can't ROR you because you've had thefts this year, so I can't ROR you. I'm not sure what the therapy is, and I don't need you to tell me, but if it has to do with the thefts, it ain't working. Because, you know, apparently we were in Walmart again yesterday. So I'll set the bond at $500. We'll have you back in court on the 2nd of November. Now, I'll tell you what, that's going to be me on the 2nd of November. So if you get out, you better get busy with your therapy. When you show up here on the 2nd of November, I'm going to want to hear a real detailed story about what's going on with your therapy and how it's going and what we're going to do to make it work better, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Cave up the Scura. Morning, young lady. What's your date of birth?
3293.
All right. This is a battery being domestic in nature. There's probable cause for that charge. As to that charge, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender, please.
I'll appoint the PD. State.
No priors.
Okay. Kayla, I have an address for you on Stony Brook Drive in Brooksville. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you lived there?
We just moved there in July 1st.
Okay. And Michael lives there as well?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a job these days?
No, I'm a stay-at-home mom.
Kayla, I'm going to set your bond at $50. Condition of the bond, however, is that you have no contact with Michael until we get this case resolved. No contact means no contact of any kind. You don't call, you don't write, you don't email, you don't text message. You don't contact him through any social media. You don't have a third person contact him. Don't go where he lives. Don't go where he works. You don't have any contact of any kind. any way that you might imagine contacting him, I forbid you to do that. If you have contact and we find out about it, your bond can be revoked and you can be held without bond until the charges are resolved. It means no contact even if he wants the contact, so if you answer your phone and hear his voice, you should hang up. If you're out and about and see him, you should turn around and run the other way. You need to understand that he cannot drop the charges against you. That's not a decision he'll be allowed to make. He may go to the state attorney's office and ask them to drop the charges. He may tell them he's not interested in pursuing this matter, but that decision belongs solely to the assistant state attorney handling your case. So unless that person or the judge on your case tells you the charges are dropped, you should assume they're not dropped, and you should not have contact. In addition, I have to hold him today up until 4 p.m. so that if he wanted to serve you with a civil injunction for protection against domestic violence, we'd know where to find you. If you get the civil injunction, it's doubly important that you not have contact, because in that case, not only could you get your bond revoked here, but you could get new charges for violating the injunction. As far as that address on Stony Brook, if Michael opts to stay there, you'll have to stay somewhere else while this case is pending. If he goes somewhere else, then you can go back. If he is going to stay there, you can go by one time to pick up your clothes, your toothbrush, whatever you need, wherever you plan to stay. In order to do that, you'd have to contact the sheriff's office first. They'd meet you there with a deputy who'll stand by and pick up your things and get going where you're going. I'll have you back in court on November 2nd. Very important that you contact the public defender's office when you get out, all right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Bernader? Morning, sir. What's your date of birth?
3/26/97.
Pardon me. Stephen, I have 5 charges this morning. Aggravated battery on a pregnant female, domestic battery by strangulation, false imprisonment, simple battery, being domestic in nature, and witness tampering. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you wish to represent yourself, you're going to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
Public defender.
I'll appoint the PD, state.
Judge, I don't see a prior record.
Stephen, I have an address for you on Live Oak Drive. Is that where you live?
Yeah.
How long have you lived there?
Month.
Okay. And does Alyssa live there as well?
She's at her parents'. They told her to go there. DCF did.
Okay. Do you have a job these days?
Yes, sir. I mow lawns.
Okay. All right. On the battery on a pregnant female, I'll set a bond at $2,000. On the battery by strangulation, $2,000. On the false imprisonment, the battery and the witness tampering at $1,000 each. That's a total of $7,000. Condition is that you have no contact with Alyssa. Did you hear me explain no contact a moment ago?
Yes, sir.
Did you understand it?
Yes, sir.
Also going to hold you till 4 p.m. so that she wants to serve you with a civil injunction. We know where to find you. You'll be back in court on October 30th. Very important that you contact the public defender's office if you get out, all right?
All right.
Thank you. Joseph Paterano.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Joe. What's your date of birth?
9/29/77, sir.
All right. Joe, I have 3 new charges. I have 2 counts of criminal use of personal identification information and 1 count of grand theft. There's probable cause for those charges. As to those charges, you want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like me to appoint the public defender?
I'm appointing the public defender, sir.
I'll appoint the PD. And looks like, Joe, have you been in jail for a while now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What I'm going to do on these is leave the bonds per the schedule, which is, or per the arrest affidavit anyway, 15, 15, and 5, so it's $35,000 total. Because of your status, if you were to bond out, you'd be subject to GPS monitoring at your expense. And then I'll
Yes,
move
sir.
these all to the 18th of October, which is where your other cases are, so that you can handle them all on the same date, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Andrew Pisano.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Andrew. What's your date of birth?
031900.
All right. Got two charges today: possession of marijuana, possession of it's felony possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia. As to those charges, there's probable cause. You want to represent yourself. You want to hire private counsel. Would you like the public defender?
Public defender,
I'll
please.
point to PD, State.
No priors.
Andrew, I have an address for you on Sheephead Drive on Hernando Beach. Is that where you live?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been there?
Probably about 10 years.
Okay. Do your folks know where you are this morning?
I'm not sure. I tried to get a hold of my mom and couldn't get a hold of her.
Okay. And you're working these days? Are you in school? What's going on?
Yes, sir. I'm in college, enrolled at PHSC, and I also work on the side.
Okay. On the marijuana, I'm going to set a bond of $1,000. On the paraphernalia, I'll give you an ROR, so your total is $1,000. You'll be back in court on the 30th of October. Very important that you contact the public defender when you get out, all right?
All right. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Johnny Tyson? Somebody have a case number?
Morning, Your Honor.
Hey, Johnny.
15 MM 762.
And it's a BOP, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And Casey, you said 55, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Johnny, I confirmed your time in Pasco. You want to resolve your Hernando VOP for time served?
Yes, sir.
All right. You understand by entering admission, you give up the right to have a trial to the court and the right to confront the witnesses against you, right to have a lawyer represent you, but you want to give up those rights so we can take care of this today?
Yes, sir.
In case number 15 MM 762, do you admit that you violated your probation?
Yes, sir.
I'll accept that admission, find that it's freely and voluntarily made, revoke and terminate that probation unsuccessfully, adjudicate you guilty of the underlying charge. If we didn't do that before, I'll sentence you to 55 days in the county jail, credit 55 days served. There'll be a $50 cost of prosecution. I will not assess the cost of incarceration because you did the time in Pasco. So that takes care of it, Johnny. If there's nothing else keeping you in the jail, you'll be released today, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you. Anything else for me, Jim?
Seeing no